Hello everyone to Casual Meeple. Today we are looking at Mansions of Madness 2nd edition. It's a game of exploration, mystery and horror for 1 to 5 players by Fantasy Flight Games. You might be familiar, and I'm sure that if you know board games, you've heard about that game before. So without further ado, let's have a look what's inside the box. After which I will quickly tell you how the game plays. However, I'm not going to be going much into all the details. And finally, I'm going to tell you why I believe that this is one of the best games on the market and why I love the game and why is it one of my favorites from all the games I own. So let's have a look what's inside. Okay, so as you can see, the box is filled to the brim. What we get is 24 monster miniatures. I didn't take all of them, but you have all the main type of enemies. We've got 8 investigator miniatures. We've got all the cards for investigators over here, with all their stats and a short, nice story on the back. We have all the tiles we need for building our adventures and all the places we are going to discover. We've got in 2 types. Then we've got all the cards over here, and I'll explain cards briefly in a moment, but just to let you know, we also get 5 dice, crucial for how the game works and how what is the core mechanic, and crazy amount of tokens of different sorts for exploration items, people, secret passages, and so on. So as you can see, there is a massive amount of stuff in the box, and I can tell you it shows how good the game is. Okay, so over here we've got a game which is already going on, so we can see that quite a lot is happening. And to say quickly, one of the beauties about this game in particular for me is that once you start, you don't really know what you have to do to win. The idea is that, for example, in one of the scenarios, you get a call to go to a mansion where the master disappeared and his butler called us to see and try to investigate what has happened to him. When we arrive, we come over here and we don't really know what we have to do, where to go and what is really happening. And we have to go and discover clues, we have to go read the books and find notes and find all the information that will help us finally understand and see and perhaps win the game if we do our best. So idea over here is that we have our investigators over here, and as you can see there is a lot of things laid out already. So to quickly just to tell you, I'm not going to go into much detail, but just to give you an outline of how the game works, each turn we can do 2 auctions with one of our investigators. So this is a setup for 4 players with all the characters over here, and I can decide, for example, to go around and do move, and then for example go outside over there, because that token indicates that there is another part of map somewhere over there. On the other hand, I can, for example, investigate this token and I can see what's actually inside. Now, how do I know what kind of map goes there and how do I know what this token represents? This is where the app comes in, because in order to play Mansions of Madness 2nd edition, you need to use Companion app, which is available for free and has 4 main scenarios for free, but also if you buy expansions or if you buy the DLC scenarios, gives you more replayability and gives you more access to more scenarios and more missions to play. So I will show you in a moment a quick stream or a quick video on how the app looks like and how does it work and how does it interact with everything we do. But to give you an idea, you need the app, and without the app you will not be able to play the game, which means for some people it might be a drawback because they might not like it. But honestly, if I'm really honest with you, I absolutely love it. Imagine that the app does all the job that the game master really had to do in the first edition of the game, which means everyone cooperatively can focus and just enjoy playing the game as it is. There is no need to go through books, there is no need to set it up. The app does all the job. So if I want to go over here and I want to attack that monster, the app will tell me what kind of attack I'm doing. Then I will roll the dice, and for each star I count 1 success. As you can see, there aren't that many, so successes are relatively difficult to find. I think it's 3 out of 8. Yeah, so it's not that easy to get it. However, we've got that symbol, a clue symbol. If I roll this, I can use a clue token to change it into automatic success. So it's a bit of a push your luck mechanic where I can change it at certain cost. Over here we've got cards for each of our investigators, where we have health and we have mental stability, should I say. Now, interesting thing over here is that we've got a set of statistics, which are strength, agility, observation, law, influence, and will. And these will come tested, and depending on what the app tells us to do, we might have to roll on each one of these. One of my favorite things about the game is how the losing the game works. Now, if you want to lose the game, not really that you want to, but in order to lose the game, there are a few things we can do. One thing is that we can run out of time, and we don't really have enough time to solve the mystery, and whatever bad thing happens, whether it's someone summoned the demon and we are done, or whether it's the end of the world, or whether a portal to another dimension opened. Can't really say because I didn't play through all the scenarios yet, but you get the idea. It's a very Lovecraftian theme to it. So we can run out of time, or we can die. Now, in order to die, it's not just a matter of losing your life once. If you get 6 damage, which is represented by these cards over here, you get a wounded condition, which slows you down and stops you being fully capable of doing all the things, which makes it a bit more difficult to actually win the game. The other way is if you lose it twice. So if you already have wounded condition and you reach your limit again, then you die permanently, and the rest of the investigators has to continue on their own. When it comes to mental stability, if you get the same amount like indicated on your card, you go insane. And this is one of my favorite mechanics in the whole game. We have a whole set of cards with different insane conditions. So one of them might be that, for example, forbidden words. The moment you went crazy, you cannot speak. You win or lose the game as normal. So we can see that there are 2 things to it. One, there is a new condition that affects your character. In this case, for example, we wouldn't be able to talk with other players, which completely changes the whole dynamic of the game. Secondly, quite often these cards change your winning conditions. So in the recent game I had with my friend, one of my friends went crazy in the end, and that was really few turns just before we managed to finish. And his winning conditions was that he had to start with a knife in the same place as other player. In that case, he killed them, made a sacrifice to Yog-Sothoth, if I remember correctly, and he won the game. And that's exactly what happened. He's like, okay, give me the knife, I really need it, trust me on this one. Other player gave him the knife, and the next turn he just killed him. And he won the game while everyone else lost. So going crazy, going insane in the game can actually change how the whole game works, which makes it so interesting. So as we investigate, go on and fight with monsters, we can do a lot of other things, and one of the really interesting things is puzzles, which you will actually have to sort out on the app itself, as I will show you right now. Right, so this is how we get into the app. The first thing you can see, we've got a few buttons, we can go into more, where we can go into my collection, and this is where I can add all the expansions I actually have, or I can add the first edition content. We can go back and let's straight away go into a new game. So over here we have all the different scenarios available, as you can see, but let's go back and use the first scenario for the sake of that introduction video. We go, then select our investigators, and we get our starting items. We can spread them between our people as we want, and on the bottom we can see how many clues we have. Now on the loading screen we always have some nice quotes from Lovecraft. You know, in this case we've got from The Lurking Fear. And then we can click on begin scenario, and it will give us the setup. Now before we go there, we have a short narration.
You slump into your office chair after another long day.
I don't want to spoil it, so let's go straight to the game itself. So now it shows us what task should we set up and where are we and all of that. It shows us where to put our miniatures. It shows us where to put all the tokens, whether they will be investigation tokens or search tokens, whether they are over here, and exploration tokens with all the information about it. Any other tokens like extra furniture, or these tokens which show pretty much like fog of war. If we go over there, they will show themselves on. And we go into investigator phase. In this case, this is where we in reality move our miniatures around and decide what we want to do, but then we click on the map. So now we look at papers and we can read through what the papers say and what is about it. One thing to remember is it's important to read, because it might come later, it might become important for the story. We also have gain 1 clue, so we take the coins, blah blah blah, take the token physically from our map. We can do it all around, we can have a look around, and let's decide we want to explore. Again, I click in the app, while in reality I will get my miniature there. It tells me what I find, so it gives me a short story, so I know where did I go or what did I find. It shows me where to put all the tokens, like search token or investigation tokens or interaction tokens, and then because I explored, I can walk into that room for free. So it shows you pretty much what it is. If we go to menu, we've got message log where you can see everything that's been said before. We can set fire if we decide to do that. We can click to kill if someone dies, we can click over there. Then we can go into all the monsters, all the items in our backpack, pretty much. So we have all these 3 buttons at the bottom. And that's pretty much it. That's how the app works. The really cool feature of it is that you can just exit the game and save it, which means that later on as we go back, we can pretty much continue from the point we were in. So now, saving quick, confirm, and that's it, done. The game is saved. So now in the main menu, if I click continue, I will be able to continue from the same spot I finished it. So that's about it. Let's move on. Alright, so let's have a look at the miniatures themselves. When it comes to miniatures, I can say that quality-wise they are really nice. Like, they are the soft plastic ones, so you don't have to worry that they're gonna break, and of course they will not have crazy amount of detail. But for what they are and for the size, I would say that they are pretty good. Especially when it comes to monsters, we have a lot of different types, and as you can see, for example, over here we've got a hunting horror. Over here we've got a ghost. Over here we've got a deep one. And of course, if we are talking about Lovecraft, we need to have a star spawn, the massive Cthulhu-like beast. I have not yet encountered it in game, but I am quite sure that it's going to be a terrible beast to take down, if it's possible at all. We might have to think of something else once we finally meet it. The miniatures are of good quality, same like the rest of the components. So the board itself is from nice, thick cardboard, nothing happens to it. So far I've played quite a few times and I have not noticed any wear and tear when it comes to the game components themselves. So far, when it comes to quality, I'm really happy with it, and it shows the FFG's also in the first edition of the game itself. We have additional pack over here, a conversion kit from the first edition, which is already in the box with updated cards for all the investigators and all the cards for all the monsters and instructions. So if you have first edition and you decide to grab second one, you are basically able to use everything from the first edition in second straight out of the box, which is really, really good. So now let's move on to the final impressions. Let's move on to the final thoughts. What I would say is that this is really one of my favorite games, because what it does is that it doesn't only give you a kind of RPG-like experience where you actually have to get involved with the story and you need to understand what's happening and read all the small bits, and you really get into it. You will get into that role and you will really think how we can get out of there, how can we defeat that monster or whatever else we are actually doing. Now, what I really like about it is that we have the companion app, and it really helps to make it far more engaging and interesting experience. Just listening to the narrator in the first part, when in his somber voice he's explaining what's happening, it's really getting you into the mood. And it also has an amazing soundtrack, and then gives you sounds and all of that. It really adds to the theme and to the feel of the game as you play it. What I will say, however, that the game is quite expensive, and with about £80 right now, you can find it on that. I think originally it was about £100 mark. It is a massive box though. And it is true, it is expensive, but if you are thinking about buying a game that you will enjoy more than once, and that you can play on your own, that you can play with up to 4 friends, with 5 people playing all together, that you can replay with different characters. And yes, it's true, once you play through the scenario, you really know what's happened, and it's not going to be as new and as refreshing as it was the first time. However, it will still be an enjoyable experience. By now I've played the first scenario 3 or 4 times I think, and I still enjoy it every single time, because the map is different every single time, because the tiles are generated randomly. The characters I played with were slightly different, which helped me change the interaction between characters, and puzzles are also of different type as you play through the game. So even though I know the story behind it, it was still really fun to play, especially when you play it with different group of people. Moreover, with some DLCs that you can buy for relatively okay price, or the expansion sets, the game grows and it grows quite big. You can see it's already big, or with all the other scenarios it grows even bigger. Another thing is that yes, it's true it is expensive, but think that first scenario, while it's indicated 60 to 90, took me about 2 hours. Second one, which I played 4 times so far and lost every single time but last, took us about 3 really to play through. Last scenario, which is indicated to be between 3 and 4, I think is going to take me 6 or 7 hours to finish. So it's a really nice game which gives you a lot of time. On the other hand though, you need to remember that the game will require time to play through. Luckily the app can save it, so you can just pack the game at any moment and then continue later on. And app will remember how the map was set up, who was where, and what is really happening, which is quite good because it helps you to make basically a save point in the game. So my final thoughts are that Mansions of Madness 2nd edition is an amazing piece of board game, with all the interactions between players they can do, with what the app does, with its theme, with the miniatures, with the production quality of the game. It is really one of my favorite games. So if you haven't played the game yet, and if you will get a chance, do it. I'm quite sure you will fall in love with the game as I did. If you haven't and you are considering buying it, it is an expensive buy, but I would say it is well worth the price. So, thanks for watching. Come back to our Casual Meeple channel to have a look at all the videos, have a look at video over here, and remember to subscribe to my channel. Take care, thanks for watching, and see you next time.